at the top of the show, I do my direct message where I give my feelings of the week. And I wrote my little piece about it yesterday. And then right after I wrote it, I watched your TED Talk. And basically, your TED Talk was a 20-minute sort of much broader version of exactly what I happened to write about yesterday by total coincidence. And I know that the things that you talk about are the things that I'm incredibly passionate about and that I've made this show about. So you had a great quote in your TED Talk. You said that FEMEN is a movement that is trying to rebuild society without permission. I love that line. So can you just expand on that a little bit? And what made you start FEMEN and where do you think it's going?
Well, particularly about that statement, I should say that anyone who is dreaming to rebuild the world should count that, you should not ask for permission because nobody will ever give it to you. So if you dream to change something, you should not ask for permission or wait when someone will give you that permission.
You'll be waiting a long time.
Right. And it will never happen, yes, because, well, in Ukraine, as I said, we started in Ukraine movement in 2008, where the movement already exists for 8 years. And I should say that when we started, we didn't have any particular knowledge of, political knowledge or didn't know how to work with media. I told you already that we didn't really have a clear understanding what feminism is about. And I don't feel embarrassed or shy to say about that because I think that this should show and reflect the society in which we were growing up. I remember joining this little group about which nobody knew at that moment yet. We had a meeting in a very Soviet-style cafe in the center of Kiev, sharing 2 cups of tea for 15 of us, because we were all young students coming from small cities to Kiev, dreaming that this will be the place where we will have as women opportunities, and the only opportunities we were proposed, even in this big city and capital that looked for us as, huge, tremendous place. We only had opportunities, well, similar to those that I saw, opportunities that women had in my childhood, to serve someone. And of course, very often Ukrainian women are, because many claim that they're beautiful, but what is true, they're not educated and poor. And this becomes a reason to easily involve women in sexual exploitation, prostitution. And of course, on my way to university every day, I could be, first of all, harassed. Second, receive many flyers from pimps or brothels who would propose you to go to work. And many girls did go and applied for such a job because you don't have other possibilities, because you're not proposed anything else. So for us, the first reason to start our activity was to fight this disease, this illness of Eastern Europe, considering women as sex slaves, as prostitutes. And we were campaigning against prostitution and sex tourism, which is a really widespread disease in Ukraine particularly. And we were campaigning against that, wearing pink clothes and carrying pink balloons and pink flags, believing that with this pink color we will attract attention to this problem. However, of course, we failed, and organizing protests with 100, 200 female activists, nobody was even stopping when they were passing by to read our banners. And we were in search of tactics, of the ways how we can attract attention of this very apolitical, again, desperate society to something very essential, to the rights of women, something that the whole world is already talking about, accepting, changing, adopting laws. For 2 years we were in this desperate search, and in 2010 we saw that the situation in Ukraine was changing because the dictator, which we understood later, dictator Yanukovych, was elected as a president, and the situation was changed. You could immediately feel the censorship in media. You could immediately feel the change of political situation and the mood in the country. And we understood that we probably have to go as a female activist, as female voices. We probably have to campaign about something broader, something that brings us to this problem, more limited problem such as prostitution and sex tourism, something that is, to the root of the problem, the political situation, the economical situation, those people who bring the society in such state. So we did our first topless protest 2010. To be honest, it was more as an experiment. It was also sort of a scream from inside. And as I said, it was a decision made during this, being in a desperate search of how to let people hear women's voices and their problems.
How did that first moment feel for you when you did the topless protest? Because you guys, even if it hadn't picked up much traction, you were already talking about things, as you've said, that were sort of not accepted in your society. So you're already going against the grain. But then, yeah, you realized, all right, we've got to do something that's going to really get us publicity the right way and all that. How did literally that first moment when you took off your top feel?
Well, I should say that I didn't do that moment because I did it a year after, because we had a huge discussion in the group, sort of even a fight about whether to do it or not, because and I was one of those who were against topless protests. So that came later for me, but definitely it had a huge effect, because we not only had an unpopular speech, but we also used a very unpopular tactic. We were showing an image of a woman which is very unpopular in this society. The image of woman which was popular in Ukraine was a nice, smiling, sexy, cleaning lady. But we were showing a screaming, angry, bare-breasted woman with a message, with a slogan written across her chest, which was something that was breaking completely the definition, the definition or imagination, the context in which people could see the woman and the definition of woman generally in Ukraine. And of course, it attracted a lot of attention. Different attention, as well as some support, very small support from Ukraine. And of course, we felt a huge support from abroad, and a lot of criticism, of course. We've been named prostitutes immediately because we were naked, which again revealed something that for people, naked woman is equal to prostitute. And actually, I should say that with this topless protest, what we are reaching, I think that we are committing sort of a test for democracy. We commit a test, we test the society. And with this tactic, with the messages and speeches that we have, we test society and we reveal a lot. We reveal a lot on the reaction on those protests. So I should say that what we actually do, very often people say FEMEN are violent because we are aggressive, because we are screaming. So which immediately makes it clear that for people, a woman who is angry is violent, is something violent. We are fine to see angry man, but woman which is not smiling or keeping silent, but who's screaming, is something violent.
Right, and you're not out there. You're not out there killing people. Right?
Well, we're probably killing some people by our messages. I mean, of course, literally, we do not harm. We do not interact. We don't touch anyone physically. We can touch and attack ideas. We buy our ideas, but what actually we do is we appear, take off our top and strip our ideas written on our bodies. We create, I think that we transform our bodies in political messages, in our manifesto, in posters, if you want. These are our posters on which we write our slogans. And I think this way, I think it's kind of, there are a few functions, because first function, of course, is to provoke, to attract attention. Second is that we change the meaning of what naked body is. It's not, there are so many you can see women, naked women everywhere on covers of magazines, on billboards. They are posing, smiling, they're sexy. What we are showing women who's not sexy, but she's political, her body's political, she's not smiling, she's screaming, she's not inviting you to use her, she's refusing, she's showing her anger, she's showing that she's demanding something. And of course, this is something that breaks a lot of stereotypes and rules and traditions, particularly in society like Ukraine, generally in many countries, we received a very different reaction on such protests. And I think it reveals a lot, it mirrors a lot.
Well, what's interesting is you're really talking about the true roots of what feminism really is. You are demanding to be accepted as an absolute equal to a man, which really is what first wave feminism here in the West was. It's now changed and morphed into something else. But all you're demanding sort of is equality. I've seen you described as a sextremist. Do you like that word? Do you guys, you've used that word a little bit, but I've heard it about you more.
Right. Well, this is the word that we created actually, and we identify ourselves as sextremists because we use our sex, the fact that we are female, as our weapon. Our bodies are our weapons. And I think this is also sort of an answer to fundamentalists, to terrorists who use the guns, who actually kill people. We show them my body is my weapon, because first of all, you are scared of it as if it was actually a weapon which could kill you. And second, we see that this body really can destroy, can destroy bad ideas, or at least challenge them or provoke them and create discussions. So yes, we call ourselves sextremists because we use our sex as our weapon. Our body is our weapon.
Okay, so as I mentioned at the top of the show, and as you've illustrated here quite obviously, it's not just that you talk about these things, but you literally are putting your life on the line. I mean, just by taking your shirt off, the amount of people who you've angered, it's incredible, it's crazy. But you've also had very close brushes with the law, with actual terrorism and violence. Can you go into a couple examples, the KGB example in Belarus, and you were literally, an event that you were speaking about, free speech, was shot up, and there's some crazy audio of that. Can you just talk about those two examples?
Well, yes, I think this is what I was talking about, that we reveal a lot of things with this protest. But to be honest, we didn't expect that we will, just a topless woman with the words written across her chest could invite the governments and secret services to chase them, arrest them, kidnap them, and torture. We have been literally tortured in Belarus after one of our protests that we staged in December 2011, which was an anniversary. It was 19 December 2011, anniversary of a one-year anniversary of a huge demonstration in Minsk, during which many people have been arrested, many disappeared, and some reportedly have been killed, but the information is always hidden there. And we staged an ironical protest mocking dictator Lukashenko in front of KGB office, which is official KGB service there. And during the protest, journalists have been grabbed by the staff, KGB staff, the men who came out of the office of KGB, and we were ignored, so we could leave the place. They certainly knew that they will be able to catch us before. What was important at that moment for them to stop the journalists from releasing the images. However, some journalists managed to do it. They left before, having experience, obviously, working in Belarus. And later, a few hours after, when we were at the bus station in Minsk on our way back to Kiev, to Ukraine, we have been grabbed and thrown into a bus in which we spent the whole night being questioned by men. Well, we saw their faces, they didn't hide themselves, but they were clearly saying that they're KGB, and they were asking us who paid us for this protest. They were saying that they know that Europe pays us, which is ridiculous. Who is Europe? I was trying to ask them as well. They didn't answer because they were the ones asking questions. So yeah, and after that night, we have been brought to a forest in which we changed the buses. We were taking in another bus, and there was another troop of men, faces of who we couldn't see anymore, because they put plastic handcuffs on our hands, and we were not allowed to move, and had to keep our heads down and looking on the floor. Well, we heard during, I think, 5-6 hours drive, we heard that we will be killed. We heard the description, different description of how we can be killed, and we were asked to breathe loud because they wanted to hear us breathing, saying that in few hours we will not be able to breathe. They were saying that they will send our corpse or parts of our bodies to our mothers, and so on and so forth, which was, of course, done very professionally. You could feel that these men do this every day. It's their job, actually, to torture people like that. We received few hits, but they were not beating us severely. But later we were taken out of the bus in a forest, and there, they were doing horrible things, such as putting, gasoline on us, and playing very, coming with the fire very close to the body. So you feel like they will burn you alive right now.
Yeah.
They made us undress, turn. And so they were creating situations when you feel like next second they will rape you, they will burn you, they will kill you, they will cut you. What they did, they cut my hair with knife. They were, they throw some, green antiseptic in my face, which I couldn't wash away, things that were somehow at some point would sound ridiculous, but it was torture. It was psychological and physical torture. They were filming everything on 2 video cameras, so it was supposed to be reported to someone, and we saw 15 men around us in masks, and the fact that they were wearing masks made me think that they will not kill us because they hide their faces. However, I didn't know how far they will go in their action, and after this torture, they throw us out in the forest, and we spent another 5 hours, 6 hours to find someone, and we found a village. Village, it's a big word probably for 7 houses, in the middle of the forest that we found, and we were lucky enough that at that moment there was someone who came from the city and had mobile phone, and of course for 24 hours already all at least Russian-speaking world was searching for us, and information was spread everywhere, and we easily contacted our colleagues and journalists, and later, 4 hours later, the ambassador of Ukraine arrived to police station in which we were staying for some time, and took us back to Kiev. Well, this is one of the experience, in Ukraine. Also, we constantly were followed by secret services, threatened, and they opened 4 criminal cases against us for hooliganism. This is something that they use in Ukraine, in Russia, against political activists. For example, right now there is an artist, Piotr Pawlensky, who burned the door of Russian Secret Service, and he's also treated as a hooligan. Well, they treat us as a hooligans because this is something very vague. You could, you could call anyone hooligan. And and in Ukraine, after our first and very loud protest against union of church and state, I had to flee. I had to leave the country because, literally I had to jump out from the window of my apartment, jump in the car, and run away.
When this stuff has happened to you, I mean, I know you have so many examples of this, which we could spend hours talking about. But when these things have happened to you, I mean, what happened to you in that farce? It sounds horrific. You survived, but obviously their goal is intimidation. Their goal, of course, is to silence you, and then by silencing you, they silence your followers, and that's how they end you guys. They don't have to actually kill you. So I'm curious, afterwards, after something like that happens, do you or did you feel, all right, maybe we've taken this as far as it should go, or did you immediately double down and say, now we're getting somewhere with this?
Well, of course, I'm not going to play a superhero, and of course, you have all the fear. You feel that I will not. Right after, you feel I will never do it again. But then, after some time thinking about it and really spending time on repeating in your mind what really happened, you understand that it's not us who went too far. It's their reaction goes too far, probably because we do something which they don't want to happen. And so it means that we do something very right. And I think, of course, again, I will never deny that we have fear. We do have fear, but I should say that the fear of giving up to those people is much bigger than fear of being taken to the forest. At least you already know how it feels and what it is.
Huh.
And again, fear, it's a choice, right? So we probably make a choice, not to fear, but to deal with the fear and to continue the activity. Because again, just think about how ridiculous actually this all is. There are girls who take off their tops and write slogans, and for that they're taken to the forest. KGB staff are spending with them 24 hours, torturing them and doing all the insane things. How ridiculous this is. How ridiculous is the fact that there are people planning terrorist attacks, taking guns, blowing themselves up because they want to stop those who draw caricatures, who draw very funny or not funny for some cartoons, but something so peaceful, so somehow very childish as well, something very simple. So I think that it also reveals a lot. It shows how crippled our society is, how we replace the fight or the fight of ideas by actually the fight between people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is, of course, a reason to continue. And sometimes people say, well, you already do it for 6 years and you're only 25 and you already have been nearly killed at least 3 times, but what makes you go on? But this is exactly the reason that make you go on, because you understand that just because you say, you write 3 words on your body, or you write an article, or you draw a cartoon, they want to kill you for that. Isn't it ridiculous? Doesn't it show that I live in a sick society? And because I don't want to live in sick society, I continue. I go on. I know that the history of my time is written right now. And, to let fundamentalists, dictators, misogynists to write history of my time, well, I don't agree with that.